That illusion shattered the day my physical therapist slipped me a folded piece of paper during my session and whispered, "Read this when you're alone." Her hand was shaking when she helped me off the therapy table, and I saw something in her eyes I'd seen before in my 40 years as a teacher: fear for someone you care about, mixed with the desperate hope they'll listen. I'm Margaret Sullivan, though everyone calls me Maggie. 71 years old, retired high school English teacher from Seattle, Washington. I never thought I'd be telling this story. But if it helps even one person recognize the warning signs I almost missed, then it's worth sharing. 6 months before that note, my life was still intact. My husband Patrick, a firefighter, had passed away 3 years earlier from lung disease. The department's settlement gave me $4.2 million. It was bittersweet money. Every dollar reminded me of the man I'd loved for 46 years, but it meant I could live comfortably, help my daughter Rachel and her family, maybe travel a little like Patrick and I had always planned. Then I had the stroke. Not a massive one, thank God. The doctors called it a moderate ischemic event. I woke up in Swedish Medical Center with Rachel holding my right hand. My left hand wouldn't move properly. My speech was slurred. The left side of my face drooped. I couldn't remember the word for water. I asked for the clear drinking thing and started crying when Rachel brought me a glass. "Mom, it's okay. You're going to be okay," she said, squeezing my hand. "The doctors say with therapy, you'll recover most function. You'll see." Rachel had always been my responsible child, married at 25 to Marcus, a financial advisor. They had 2 kids, now teenagers. She worked as a real estate agent, successful enough, though Marcus always seemed to want more. I'd noticed over the years how he talked about money not as something to use, but as something to accumulate, to display. After 2 weeks in the hospital, I moved into their house in Bellevue. It made sense. I couldn't live alone yet. My left arm was still weak, my balance uncertain. Simple tasks like buttoning a shirt or opening a jar were suddenly impossible. Rachel insisted it was temporary, just until I could manage on my own again. "We've got that guest room, Mom, and you know the kids love having you here," she said, packing up my medications from the hospital. Marcus already moved his office upstairs. "You'll have the whole first floor." The first month was hard, but I was improving. Physical therapy 3 times a week, speech therapy twice a week, occupational therapy to relearn daily tasks. My therapist, a young woman named Kim, was patient and encouraging. By week 6, I could button my own shirts again. My speech was almost normal. I started walking without the cane around the house. But I noticed things. Rachel had always been attentive, but now she was controlling. She organized all my medications in a weekly pill organizer. She accompanied me to every doctor's appointment. She had Marcus set up cameras in my room, just to make sure you don't fall, Mom. She took my phone at night so the notifications don't wake you. I told myself she was being protective. I was her mother. She loved me. Of course she was worried. Then the confusion started. I'd wake up and not remember going to bed. I'd find myself in the living room with no memory of walking there. Once, I couldn't remember my granddaughter Emma's name for a full 30 seconds. I stared at this teenager I'd known since birth and my mind was completely blank. "Mom, maybe we should talk to your neurologist about this," Rachel said when I mentioned the memory gaps. "The stroke might have affected your memory more than we thought." Dr. Chen, my neurologist, increased one of my medications. The confusion got worse. I'd hear Rachel and Marcus talking late at night, their voices carrying through the heating vents into my room. I couldn't make out the words. Just the tone urgent, planning something. Once, I heard Rachel say, "She's getting worse. Marcus, we might need to do this sooner than we thought." "Do what?" I wondered, but the next morning when I asked her what they'd been discussing, she looked confused. "Mom, we weren't talking last night. You must have been dreaming. That's one of the side effects of your new dosage, vivid dreams that feel real." I started to doubt myself. Was I losing my mind? Was the stroke worse than they'd told me? That's when Kim, my physical therapist, gave me the note. It was a Wednesday, my regular afternoon session at the therapy center. Kim worked with me on balance exercises, then strength training for my left arm. I was improving steadily. I could now hold a 3-pound weight for 30 seconds without my arm shaking. "Maggie, you're doing great," Kim said, but her voice was tight. As she helped me off the therapy table, she pressed the folded paper into my right hand. "Read this when you're alone, please." Rachel was in the waiting room, on her phone. I kept the note clenched in my fist, hidden in my jacket pocket. That evening, after Rachel gave me my nighttime medications and kissed my forehead, "Sleep well, Mom." I waited 30 minutes. Then, I carefully unfolded the paper with my working hand. Kim's handwriting was rushed. "Mrs. Sullivan, your medication doesn't match your chart. Someone has been giving you extra doses of sedatives that aren't prescribed. The confusion, memory loss, it's not stroke damage. It's the drugs. I checked your file. Please be careful. Please trust no one in your house. I'll help however I can. Kim." My hands started shaking. Not from the stroke, from fear. I looked at the pill organizer on my nightstand. 7 neat rows, each day labeled morning, noon, evening, bedtime. I'd been taking these pills obediently for 3 months. Rachel filled it every Sunday, telling me what each one was for: blood pressure, stroke prevention, cholesterol, anxiety. I'd never had anxiety before the stroke. Rachel said it was common after such a traumatic event. The doctor had prescribed something mild. But what if he hadn't? I couldn't confront Rachel. If Kim was right, if my own daughter was drugging me, then confronting her was dangerous. I needed to be smart. I needed evidence. That night, I pretended to take my bedtime pills. I held them under my tongue while Rachel watched, then spit them into a tissue after she left. I hid them in an old Altoids tin I kept in my nightstand. The next morning, I pretended to take my morning pills, hidden in the tin. By noon, something remarkable happened. My head felt clearer. The fog I'd been living in for weeks started to lift. I remembered Emma's middle name, Rose. After Patrick's mother, I remembered the name of the grocery store we always went to, Safeway on Lake Street. Small things, but they'd been completely gone before. The medications were causing the confusion. I started watching Rachel and Marcus more carefully, pretending to be just as confused as before. It wasn't hard. I'd been teaching teenagers to act in school plays for decades. I knew how to perform. Friday night, Rachel and Marcus thought I was asleep. I'd learned that if I took the morning and noon pills but skipped the evening and bedtime ones, I could stay alert enough to listen without being obviously different during the day. Their voices drifted down from the kitchen. The heating vent carried sound perfectly. "The doctor's appointment is Tuesday," Rachel said. I've been documenting everything: the confusion, the memory loss, the time she left the stove on. I'd never left the stove on. But I remembered Rachel showing Marcus a photo of the stove with a pot on a lit burner, saying she'd found it that way while I was napping. "And the lawyer said the conservatorship hearing would be when?" Marcus asked. 2 weeks if we file Monday. He's seen the medical documentation. He says it's a clear case: early dementia. Unsafe to live alone. Needs full-time supervision. Conservatorship. The word hit me like ice water. "And once you have conservatorship," Marcus pressed, "then we have legal control of her finances. We can sell the Redmond property, move her somewhere appropriate." "You mean a nursing home? A memory care facility, Marcus. It's for her own good. And yes, the monthly cost would be about $8,000, which is much better than the $20,000 a month that private care at home would cost. We can invest the difference from selling her house that's worth at least $1 million to $2 million in this market. My house, the home Patrick and I bought 37 years ago, where we raised Rachel, where Patrick planted the cherry tree in the backyard that bloomed every spring. What about the rest? The settlement money?" Marcus asked. "With conservatorship, I'd be the trustee. I could manage it appropriately. We have Emma's college coming up. and you know your business needs capital. Rachel. Marcus's voice had a warning tone. I'm not saying we'd take it, Marcus. I'm saying we'd manage it better than she can. She doesn't need $4 million sitting in a bank account. She needs care, professional care. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might have another stroke right there. My daughter was planning to have me declared incompetent so she could control my money, and she was drugging me to make it happen. The next day, I asked Rachel to take me to the library. She seemed pleased. Oh, Mom, that's wonderful. You haven't wanted to go anywhere in weeks. She didn't know I was completely clear-headed now. I'd been hiding my pills for 4 days. At the library, while Rachel browsed the new fiction section, I used the computer. I Googled Elder Abuse Attorney Seattle. I found a law firm called Henderson and Associates that specialized in elder rights and exploitation cases. I also created a new email account. Rachel had access to my regular email, just to help you manage it, Mom. The new account was maggiesullivan1953@gmail.com. My birth year that Rachel wouldn't guess. From the library computer, I sent a carefully worded email to the law firm. My name is Margaret Sullivan. I'm 71, recovering from a stroke, living with my daughter. I believe I'm being intentionally over-medicated to create symptoms of dementia. My daughter has mentioned seeking conservatorship. I need legal help urgently. I cannot receive calls at home. Phone is monitored. Please respond to this email with instructions. I have some evidence and can gather more. I hit send and cleared the browser history. Ready, Mom? Rachel appeared behind me, making me jump. Yes, dear. Just checking on some old students on Facebook. You know how I love to see what they're up to. She smiled, but I saw her glance at the screen before I closed it. Paranoid or careful? That night, I got a response. Attorney Jennifer Henderson wrote, Mrs. Sullivan, thank you for reaching out. What you're describing is serious financial exploitation and possibly false imprisonment. Do not confront your daughter. We need documentation. Can you, 1. Save the pills you're given, 2. Keep a written record of any conversations about your competency or finances, 3. Get your official medication list from your doctor. I can arrange a confidential meeting at our office. Can you safely leave the house alone? I wrote back. I have physical therapy Tuesday and Thursday. The center is near a coffee shop called Daily Grind on 156th. Could someone meet me there after my 2 p.m. Thursday session? I'll tell my daughter I'm meeting an old teaching colleague. I have pills saved. We'll bring them. Her response came in minutes. I'll be there at 3 p.m. I'll wear a red scarf. Tell me about yourself so I can recognize you. Over the next week, I became a spy in my own daughter's house. I continued hiding pills. The Altoids tin in my nightstand filled up. I counted them carefully, 12 pills per day I was supposed to take that weren't on my actual prescription list. 48 extra pills in 4 days. I found Rachel's notebook in her home office. She kept detailed logs. Monday, 10 a.m. Mother couldn't remember breakfast. Seemed disoriented. Asked same question 3 times. But I remembered that Monday perfectly. I'd asked about Emma's soccer game once. Rachel had lied in her notes. I found printed emails between Rachel and a Dr. Morrison I'd never heard of. Thank you for the consultation, Rachel wrote. As discussed, the combination of stroke damage and early onset dementia makes her a clear candidate for conservatorship. Your evaluation report will be crucial to the hearing. Dr. Morrison. Not Dr. Chen. My actual neurologist, who'd been treating me for 3 months and never mentioned dementia. Rachel had found a doctor willing to diagnose me without examining me. I photographed everything with my phone when Rachel was at work. I'd learned to clear my photo stream and upload pictures to my new email account. Patrick had taught me cloud storage years ago when I was scared of losing family photos. Thursday came. Rachel drove me to physical therapy. Mom, you mentioned meeting someone at coffee. Who is it? Oh, just Linda Garcia. She taught Spanish at Roosevelt before she retired. We try to get together every few months. That's nice. Tell her I said hello. I'll be back at 4:30 to pick you up. At therapy, Kim pulled me aside during a water break. Mrs. Sullivan, did you read my note? Are you okay? I read it. You saved my life, Kim. I'm meeting with a lawyer today. Her eyes filled with tears. My grandmother, someone did this to her. We didn't figure it out until it was too late. She died in a nursing home, thinking she had Alzheimer's, and we found out later her medications had been wrong for months. When I saw your chart, saw the medications your daughter listed versus what your neurologist actually prescribed, I just knew. I couldn't let it happen again. I squeezed her hand. Thank you. Whatever happens, thank you for caring enough to risk helping me. At 3 o'clock, I walked into Daily Grind. A woman in her 40s with a red scarf sat at a corner table, laptop open. She saw me and stood. Margaret? Call me Maggie. For the next hour, I told her everything, showed her the photos on my phone, gave her the Altoids tin full of pills. Jennifer Henderson wrote notes faster than I could talk. This is elder exploitation, fraud, and false imprisonment. The drugging could be charged as assault. Maggie, this is serious and completely winnable if we act fast. What do I do? First, these pills need to be tested. I'll send them to a lab tonight. Second, we file for an emergency protective order before your daughter can file for conservatorship. Third, we document your actual mental state. I'm sending you to Dr. Sandra Yee, a neuropsychologist who specializes in stroke recovery. She'll evaluate you, prove you're completely competent. But Rachel will know something's wrong if I go to a doctor she doesn't know about. Then we do it. Saturday. Tell her you're going to a movie with Linda. We'll pick you up at the theater. Do the evaluation at Dr. Yee's office. She'll work weekends for emergency cases and get you back before Rachel suspects anything. Can you do that? I thought about 40 years of teaching teenagers who didn't want to learn English literature. I thought about the time I ran the school play when the lead got food poisoning an hour before curtain. I thought about sitting with Patrick through 18 months of breathing treatments and hospital stays before his lungs finally gave out. I can do anything I need to do, I told her. Saturday, Rachel dropped me at the cinema. What are you seeing, Mom? That new Sandra Bullock movie. Linda loves romantic comedies. Jennifer was waiting in a silver Honda. Dr. Yee's office was in Kirkland, 20 minutes away. The evaluation took 3 hours. Memory tests, problem solving, cognitive function, motor skills assessment. Dr. Yee was thorough and kind. Maggie, your stroke recovery is actually remarkable. Your cognitive function is completely normal for your age. Better than normal. Honestly, you scored in the 92nd percentile for verbal reasoning. There is absolutely no sign of dementia, early onset or otherwise. What you described, the confusion, the memory loss, that's completely consistent with benzodiazepine overdose. Someone has been giving you roughly 4 times the normal dose of Ativan. It's actually lucky you didn't fall and break something, or have respiratory depression. The lab results came back Monday. Of the 48 pills I'd saved, 36 were Ativan, a powerful sedative and anti-anxiety medication. I was supposed to take 1 small dose at night if needed. Rachel had been giving me 4 per day, plus my actual prescribed medications. No wonder I couldn't remember Emma's name. We need to act fast, Jennifer said when we met again Tuesday. Your daughter has a conservatorship hearing scheduled for Friday. We're filing an emergency protective order today, and we're filing criminal complaints for elder exploitation, fraud, and assault. The police will be involved. Will I have to see her? Confront her? Eventually, yes. But Maggie, you don't have to be afraid. You're the victim here. She's the criminal. Wednesday morning, 2 Seattle police detectives came to Rachel's house. I was in my room when the doorbell rang. Mrs. Rachel Morrison? I'm Detective Williams. We have some questions about your mother's medical care. I heard Rachel's voice, confident at first. Of course. What's this about? We've received allegations that you've been administering unauthorized medications to your mother, Margaret Sullivan, and that you've been planning to fraudulently obtain conservatorship. We have a warrant to search the premises and seize all medications and medical documents. The house exploded into chaos. Rachel crying. That's insane. I've been taking care of her. She's confused. She doesn't know what she's saying. Marcus coming downstairs, demanding to call their lawyer. I walked out of my room, steady on both feet, clear-headed, and looked my daughter in the eye. I know exactly what I'm saying, Rachel. Her face went white, then red. Then she started crying big, theatrical sobs. Mom, please. You don't understand. I was trying to protect you. The doctor said you needed help. Which doctor? Dr. Morrison, who never examined me. Or Dr. Chen, who never prescribed what you were giving me. Detective Williams stepped between us. Mrs. Sullivan, you don't need to discuss this with her. We'll take your statement at the station. They arrested Rachel that afternoon. Marcus wasn't charged. They couldn't prove he knew about the medication tampering, though he certainly knew about the conservatorship plan. Emma and her brother Sean stayed with Marcus. I moved into a hotel, then into a temporary apartment Jennifer helped me find. The trial took 6 months to start. In that time, Dr. Yi worked with me on stroke recovery, the real kind, without someone sabotaging my progress with drugs. I got stronger. My left arm regained 90% of its function. My speech was completely normal. Jennifer built an airtight case. The pills I'd saved, tested, and proven to be wrong. The photos of Rachel's fake documentation. Kim's testimony about the medication discrepancy. Dr. Yi's evaluation proving I was completely competent. Dr. Chen's testimony that he'd never prescribed Ativan in those doses. Text messages between Rachel and Marcus discussing Mom's money and once we have control. The courtroom was packed the day of testimony. Some of my former students came. Now, adults themselves. Kim was there, twisting a tissue in her hands. My older brother flew in from Portland. Rachel's lawyer tried to paint me as a confused old woman who'd misunderstood her daughter's good intentions. But when I took the stand, I spoke clearly, answered every question with specific dates and details, and explained exactly how I'd caught her. My daughter didn't make a mistake, I said, looking directly at the jury. She made a choice. She chose money over her mother. She chose to steal my independence, my dignity, and almost my life. I taught English for 40 years. I taught hundreds of children the difference between right and wrong, between truth and lies. I know the difference, and so does she. The jury took 4 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty on all counts: elder exploitation, fraud, assault, and attempted theft by deception. The judge sentenced her to 7 years in prison, though she'd be eligible for parole in 4. Marcus filed for divorce 3 months later. I got my life back, but it wasn't the same life. I moved back into my Redmond house, but it felt empty. The cherry tree bloomed that spring without Patrick to see it, without Rachel to bring the grandkids over to play under its branches. Emma and Sean reached out after a year. We meet for coffee, sometimes, carefully. They love their mother. And I understand that. I love her too, despite everything. But love doesn't erase what she did. Trust, once broken this completely, doesn't heal. I started speaking at senior centers about financial exploitation. I partnered with Kim. She left her therapy practice to work full-time with an elder advocacy group. Together, we've helped train healthcare workers to spot the warning signs we almost missed. The Washington state legislature passed a new law last year, the Sullivan Protection Act. Now, every conservatorship hearing requires an independent medical evaluation from a state-appointed physician, a complete medication audit, and a financial review. The person at risk must have their own lawyer. paid by the state if needed, not just a family member's choice. My story started with a physical therapist brave enough to hand me a note. It ended with a law that protects thousands of people who can't protect themselves. People ask if I'm angry. Sometimes. Mostly I'm sad. Sad that my own daughter valued my money more than my life. Sad that my grandchildren had to watch their mother go to prison. Sad that I spent 3 months thinking I was losing my mind when I was just being poisoned slowly. But I'm also grateful. Grateful for Kim, who risked her job to save a patient she barely knew. Grateful for Jennifer, who believed me when I had nothing but a tin full of pills and a terrible story. Grateful for Dr. Yi, who proved I wasn't crazy. Grateful that I was smart enough, stubborn enough, and lucky enough to figure it out before it was too late. I'm 71 years old. I had a stroke. I recovered. I survived my daughter trying to steal my life. And every morning when I wake up in my own house, take my correctly prescribed medications, and remember everything clearly, I win again. They thought my age made me weak. They forgot that age also means experience. 40 years of teaching teenagers taught me how to spot a lie, how to gather evidence, and how to fight for what's right. I didn't win because I was lucky. I won because I refused to be a victim. Because when someone handed me a warning, I listened. Because I trusted my instincts over my daughter's lies. The sharpest weapon isn't youth or strength. It's your mind. And mine works just fine. If you're reading this and something feels wrong in your own life, if someone you trust is suddenly controlling your medications, your money, your phone, your freedom, listen to that feeling. You're not paranoid. You're not confused. You might be in danger. And if you're a healthcare worker, a neighbor, a friend, and you see something that doesn't add up, please say something. Kim saved my life with a folded piece of paper and 5 seconds of courage. That's all it takes sometimes. 5 seconds of courage to save a life. My name is Margaret Sullivan. This is my true story from Seattle. And I'm telling it so maybe one person out there recognizes themselves in my words, asks for help, and gets out before it's too late. Because you deserve to live your life on your terms, no matter how old you are, no matter who's trying to take that from you. Your life is yours. Protect it.